Hello and welcome back to my vlog. We'll continue here, part 2 of a brief but bright illumination of the truth about the income tax. Like I said yesterday, I'll read the last paragraph from yesterday, just to be clear. In a statutory definition, the term defined is stripped of all external meaning, being left with only the specified meaning given by the custom definition. Normally, what is listed or described in the custom definition is comprehensive and closed. But under the rule of construction at 26 U.S.C. 7701C, the use of includes allows an indefiniteness to the scope of the custom definition, in that it can embrace things of the same kind as those enumerated, even though not listed, while at the same time being calculated, in that such expansion cannot reach beyond the specialized class illustrated by the enumerated examples. For example, under the includes rule, the definition of employee at 3401C embraces any variety of federal worker, even varieties not described, some of which may not even exist at the time the definition is written. All such, listed in the statutory definition or not, are within the general class defined and circumscribed by the illustrative examples that are listed or described. At the same time, this indefiniteness in the statutory definition is calculated in that it can't be construed to embrace workers not having the characteristics of the members of the class which are listed and by which the class's nature is illustrated. This means that while any kind of federal worker can be deemed an employee whose remuneration received as such qualifies as wages, non-federal workers, being unrepresented in the illustrative list provided by Congress, cannot be deemed to be such employees, and the pay to such excluded workers cannot be deemed wages. The United States Treasury Department has concisely expressed this rule. Quote, "The terms includes and including do not exclude things not enumerated which are in the same general class." End quote. 27 CFR 26.11 and 27 CFR 72.11. Here's how the United States Supreme Court explains the rule. Quote, "The verb includes imports a general class, some of whose particular instances are those specified in the definition." End quote. Helvering v. Morgans, Inc., 293 U.S. 121, 126 FN 1, 1934. And, quote, "including, ellipsis, connotes simply an illustrative application of the general principle." End quote. Federal Land Bank of St. Paul v. Bismarck Lumber Company, 314 U.S. 95, 62nd S. Court 1 U.S. 1941. A number of Federal Circuit Court rulings provide examples of this rule in operation. For instance, in Mueller v. Nixon, 470 F. 2nd, 1348, 6th Circuit, 1972, the Sixth Circuit analyzes the meaning of person under the language and structure of 26 U.S.C. section 6671B, which deploys the includes term in its statutory definition. Quoting, "B, person defined. The term person, as used in this subchapter, includes an officer or employee of a corporation, or a member or employee of a partnership who, as such officer, employee, or member, is under a duty to perform the act in respect of which the violation occurs." End of that quote. In this ruling, the court recognizes that the special definition of person in the section 7343 language is the only valid definition of the term. Its analysis is careful and detailed and merits quotation at length. Quotation at length coming up. Appellant also disputes whether he could legally be held to be such a person under section 6671B of the Internal Revenue Code, and therefore liable under 26 U.S.C. section 6672, which contains the definition B, person defined. The term person, as used in this subchapter, includes an officer or employee of a corporation or a member or employee of a partnership who as such officer, employee, or member is under a duty to perform the act in respect of which the violation occurs. This language does not, by its specific words, apply to appellant Mueller. He clearly was not an officer or employee of the corporation which owed these taxes. The government concedes this, but claims that under settled case law, the courts have expanded this definition to include someone who, by a contract, is given the full power of control associated with the powers of a corporate officer. In this respect, the government relies upon Pacific National Insurance Company v. United States, 422 F. 2nd, 26th, 9th Circuit. Cert denied, 398 U.S. 937, 90 S. Court, 1838, 26 L. ed. 2 ed. 2 2nd, 269, 1970, and United States v. Graham, 309 F. 2nd, 210, 9th Circuit, 1962. This court has dealt with this same statute and cited the Pacific National Insurance case in Braden v. United States, 442 F. 2nd, 342, 6th Circuit, 1971. It does not appear, however, that we have passed on the question of interpreting the statutory definition of a person to include persons actually in control of a corporation, although only as de facto officers. The definition of person employed by Congress is not phrased in terms of exclusion. The language, the term person, ellipsis, includes an officer or employee of a corporation or a member or employee of a partnership, end quote, is exemplary in nature. On this point, we agree with the following language of the Ninth Circuit. A quote within a quote here. The definition of persons in section 6671B indicates that the liability imposed by section 6672 upon those other than the employer is not restricted to the classes of persons specifically listed, officers or employees of corporations and members or employees of partnerships. By use of the word includes, the definition suggests a calculated indefiniteness with respect to the outer limits of the term defined. First National Bank in Plant City, Florida v. Dickinson, 396 U.S. 122, 90 S. Court 337, 24 L. ed. 2D, 2nd, 312, 1969. As we said in United States v. Graham, 309 F. 2nd, 210, 212, 9th Circuit, 1962, the term person does include officer and employee, but certainly does not exclude all others. Its scope is illustrated, rather than qualified by the specified examples. Pacific National Insurance Company v. United States, Supra 422 F. 2nd at 30, footnotes omitted. Mueller v. Nixon, 470 F. 2nd, 1348, 6th Circuit, 1972. End of that large quote. The court finds Mueller to be a person solely because his particular situation placed him within the class illustrated by the enumerated list in the special person definition. The Mueller court plainly holds that the language in section 6671B provides the discrete and comprehensive meaning of the term person, explicitly endorsing the Ninth Circuit position that the scope of the term person is illustrated by the specified examples in section 6671B, and independently declaring that the language defining person in the statute is exemplary in nature. Emphasis added. If you can follow all that, you're a better man than I am, or woman. We'll get back to more of this tomorrow on those definitions and such. This is really important, and you got to wonder why they make it so convoluted and hard to understand. There's got to be a reason. Make it a great day, and bye for now.